Touchdown with Aaron Masemola. On the bench with local legends. Your questions, your heroes.
Welcome to the Touchdown with Aaron Masemola, and yes, it is yet another opportunity for us to discuss all things rugby, especially given the fact that the Currie Cup final happened this past weekend and the Bulls lifted their second trophy of the season as well. But one important thing to note was the man in the middle, the man who was holding the whistle, of course, that was Jaco Peyper, one of South Africa's best rugby referees at the moment. Jaco Peyper joins me at the moment. Jaco, how are you doing?
I'm very good, thanks, Aaron. Thanks for inviting me. Good to chat to you.
Oh, absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me. I mean, after your fifth Currie Cup final in terms of holding the whistle in hand, how are you feeling?
Yeah, good. These sort of pressure environments take a bit out of you, so you take a few days to recover. And as you get older, also, the body takes a few extra days to physically recover. But it's a big event, and it's a special event. So it takes a bit of planning and it takes a bit of input, but it's not easy on the system. It really takes a bit out of you.
Absolutely fantastic. But to talk a little bit more about your love and your passion for the sport of rugby, I know that you were a player, then a coach, and now you find yourself with the whistle in hand as a referee. Can you maybe just touch on your rugby journey a little bit?
Yeah, I grew up in a house where there was an obvious love for rugby from my folks. My dad was a player and a coach, for first 15s and at school level, and those, so there was an obvious love for rugby already established in my house when I grew up. So I spent a lot of time next to the rugby fields where my dad coached, and it's just natural that you get to know more about the game and love the game, and you miss it, so you want to go back. And I played, and I'm not the best player in the world. Played a bit of 19 under 20 rugby, a representative. But then a few serious knee injuries just forced me to be involved in another way, and started coaching at school level, school junior teams, and whilst I was still studying. And then you had to referee at some weeks. You had to referee your own teams or your own school teams that you coach, because the union just can't supply enough referees on a Wednesday or Thursday, because most of those blokes work and they're only available weekends. So I had to start. It wasn't the plan. I started refereeing, and then it went okay, and the older teachers at school, I'm obviously not a teacher, but I joined in the coaching ranks, and then they wanted me to referee their games. So they gave me a few beers, if I referee their games on their behalf. So I ended up with a case of beer for every weekend, sort of for me and my mates, So it was purely for the love and a bit of reward. And that's how it happened. And then the union actually saw me ref a few games, and I said, because you recently played, and that brought a bit of a feeling and understanding for the game. They said, wouldn't you like to actually enroll officially at the union as a referee? So that's how it all started.
Oh, absolutely fantastic journey as well. But you were previously a player as well in terms of playing on the field, and I'm certain you understand the pressures that comes with playing in a final. But now being a referee, do you still get nervous in terms of being the man in the middle for a big final like the Currie Cup final?
Oh yes, definitely. I think the day that you don't get nervous and worked up before a game like that, that's the day you should, retire straight away, because then you've lost your respect for the big moments and how precious it is. But yes, I guess over time what happens is you just kind of channel that pressure a little bit better. Where in your younger days you get worked up and you're a bit tense. Whereas as you get more experience, you probably use that you more, in a better way, and you channel it better, so you actually deliver better, and you are more close to that person that you always are, than being worked up and a bit like a deer in the headlights. So experience definitely in our game helps, but it doesn't take the pressure away. It just helps you deal with the pressure.
Oh, very true. And I can only imagine the pressure of being the man to make those very important calls in a final as well. But looking at the world of sports and the world specifically of rugby as well, we saw the Super Rugby Unlocked series and now the Currie Cup come to an end in somewhat of a completely different setting due to COVID-19. How has COVID-19 impacted you as a referee?
Yeah, big time. Just like the teams, we have to go through COVID protocols every week to actually, be clear to take part in the games on the weekend. So, that happens on a Tuesday, formal testing, and then we get the results on a Wednesday. So only appointments only confirmed on a Wednesday once everybody's cleared. And obviously you do your bit of work early in the week as you normally do, but the teams, they only do their set pieces and scrummaging on Wednesdays and Thursdays now, where it used to be Mondays and Tuesdays. So everything is a little bit behind the clock, so a bit more pressure when we try and deal with the teams, because we're not there to catch the teams out. We're actually there to help them through the week to actually prepare better for their game so they can adjust. And all those sort of things are a little bit different. We used to have a lot of workshops, all the refs in a room, and we work it out, and we get scrum coaches in to come and help us, and we get big guy, Springbok coaches to come and help us understand the game better. But those sort of things are a little bit different now. It's all on these sort of platforms now. So it's a little bit less personal, but we're still finding ways and means to do it. But I guess the biggest impact is the travel, and the stadiums are empty. And when you travel, the hotels are quiet, and there's no buffet at the restaurant, at the hotel, that sort of thing. So it's all just a little bit different. It's a bit weird. The empty stadiums is a bit weird, but like I said to many people, once those players tackle each other, that first contact, then everything is back to real. It seems real again, because you can't fake that sort of contact that those players expose themselves to.
Definitely. One other thing about COVID-19 is that we're not seeing any fans in the stadium as well. And you as a referee, sometimes you might find it a little bit challenging to communicate with players if the fans are screaming throughout the whole stadium. Has it been a little bit easier for you as a referee maybe to just communicate with the players and get your message across?
It is. I guess it is a little bit easier because, your voice travels a bit further and they can hear you. That sort of thing. But you can also now hear the chirps that the number 12 and 13 does from way from the scrum. So you don't just hear the forwards giving you trouble. You also hear the players from wide. I'm just joking, but it's a little bit easier to communicate. Also for them at line-out time where they make their calls, they've got to do it a bit like this, because now the other team can hear their line-out calls. So it's part of the adjustment for now.
Oh, very, very true. And looking at the world of rugby as well, specifically the world of refereeing in rugby, now we saw Aimee Barrett-Theron becoming the first female to be the official ref for a Currie Cup match. How important was this moment to grow the sport of rugby in the country, but also to have more females in terms of them being referees on the field?
Yeah, I'm so proud of Aimee. First of all, she's such a wonderful person. Haven't seen a person that's willing to work as hard as her in my whole career. She's willing to learn all the time. She's willing to, step into a man's world, into a room full of referees, 10 men and Aimee, that sort of thing. So that takes courage. But also the best is she made it on merit. There's no, she didn't get any favors to get there. They put her through the system, and she's worked her through the system right into that position. For me, that's the most important. We have to grow the game, but it's the best when we get someone from a female referee that actually earned her place there between the men, and she's as good as the men, and she will grow in the next few years. She'll grow a lot. She will be the first one to admit that there's quite a bit of a step up in that game, and it takes a bit of time to get used to it. But she's done really well, and it's great for our game. There's so many ladies and girls and female that watch the game and love the game as much as we do. And if they're good enough, and we've got to allow them into this world.
Oh, absolutely beautiful. And for us as South African rugby lovers, we were so incredibly proud of her as well. But now I would love to look at your career a little bit. I mean, you've already achieved so much in your illustrious career. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, it was your fifth Currie Cup final that you held the whistle in hand. Is there anything specific that truly stands out for you? And in terms of the sport of rugby, is there anything else that you will still like to achieve going forward?
Yeah, look, it's been wonderful so far, and I'm looking forward to the next few seasons. Probably a couple of seasons left for me in it. But there's so many special things. It's hard to just say this game or that tour or this trip. But obviously the World Cups are special. I've been to 2 World Cups, and Junior World Cups I've been to 2. They're all special, and you make friends from across the world and different cultures. I must say Six Nations is really special. It's a very traditional and historic tournament, and it's got such a build-up and media attention, and all the old traditions of the singing in the stadium. So I'm quite fond of the Six Nations. Rugby Champs brings something different again. It's an open brand, probably good weather, most likely get better weather than Six Nations. But for me, I think the Lions series, I've been privileged to be involved in the 2009 series in South Africa as a youngster. So I just did the small bits and pieces like running assistant referee or doing substitutions. And then 2013, I refereed in the series in Australia. And 2017, I refereed the opening test match and the Māori All Black test match, unofficial test match against the British Lions. But I must say, if I had to single out one, the British Lions tours are probably the most special that I've been involved with. But there are many, many, many great things in rugby.
Oh, absolutely beautiful. And as you mentioned, that British and Irish Lions tour, I think many South African fans are just hoping that the tour does happen this year as well. But looking at the sport of rugby, we have to admit to the fact that not everybody can play the sport of rugby. Maybe you're not as talented or you're not as big, but sometimes we would love to get involved possibly as an official on the field. How does one possibly start that journey to reaching what you've achieved, but also getting involved with the game in other facets?
Yeah, look, there's many ways to get involved, obviously, but refereeing is a great tool to get involved. One, keeps you fit. You gotta be fit to keep up with the games. Two, you make new friends. So it's just like any club, like any playing for a club. You come to an association like Free State Referees, there are 80 other people there already registered. They'll become your mates. So you find new networks for work and new networks for friendships and social. So that's also a great benefit of joining the referees. And if you seriously love the game, then you can keep that passion alive and be involved. And we get a lot of important people in the game to come and present to our unions, referee societies. So you get that exposure to top level people in the game to come and talk to you, and you stay up to date with the new game. But where to start the journey for me, as you mentioned, you got to love the game. If you don't love the game enough, you won't put up with the criticism and the negatives that come with it. It's not always negative. I like the criticism if it's constructive and you can actually benefit and learn from it. But you got to love the game. So if you love the game and you want to contribute and give back to the game, then come to the Free State Rugby Union if you're in Bloemfontein or in the region. You enroll at there's a clear pathway. You register. You do your 1 or 2 first real basic courses. And then you get slowly exposed to the next level. And you get certified and you can referee. You can start at junior level. You can the quicker you respond and develop, the quicker you climb the ladder. And some of the blokes there just wants to ref a club game on a Saturday afternoon to stay fit. Some people don't aspire to become a test referee. So they love it. They just want, instead of playing tennis at club, they referee a game and then they have a drink with their mates afterwards. So many ways to stay involved. You don't have to be aspiring to be a test referee. You can also just be a social referee, just take part and plow back into the game.
Oh, absolutely beautiful. Jaco Peyper, thank you so much for joining me right here on The Touchdown. And I think looking at your journey and some of the work that you've already done on and off the field, we look forward to the wonderful contribution that you will continue to make to the world of rugby, not just in South Africa, but internationally as well. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Aaron. I gotta say thank you to the people of Central South Africa for the support over a long period that I've been involved in rugby, and specifically OFM. You guys have always been supportive and positive vibes around you. So I appreciate that, and we all need somebody to back us, and I thank you all for backing me.
Touchdown with Aaron Masemola. On the bench with local legends. OFM Sport. The personalities behind the plays.